There has begun a technical operation of maximum importance. So let's talk about it. For those not in the know as of yet, I intend to create an interconnected series of analysis videos to give both myself and my viewers a deeper understanding of the medium of video games. To that end, I now have 5 of these videos under my belt. Before I ruminate on the creative process and where things are going from here, I would like to take the time to thank everyone for the positive response I've gotten. It's very nourishing. I'm no overnight sensation, but that was never the goal. All things considered, I feel like I've gotten a fair treatment after throwing my hat into such a saturated ring. But to stand out and really get where I want to be, more videos are needed. To help visualize the way I think about all this, I present to you the game time graph. Whenever I contemplate the history of gaming, this is what it looks like in my head. Of course, we need some games in there, so let's add the ones I've covered so far. System Shock, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, Castlevania, Army of Two, and The Flame and the Flood. Now, what do these games have in common? Nothing, really. 2 are Canadian and 2 are American, which really doesn't tell us anything. But this is by design, as I went out of my way to challenge myself with 5 random games in distinct genres spread across 30 years of video game history, both to build up my skills and to prove that I can indeed talk at length about any game thrown my way. I chose the original System Shock as my first video for 2 reasons, those being that the remake existing gives me an excellent excuse to revisit the game with more experience down the line, and that immersive sims are rad, and this gives me a great foundation to stand on as I move through the genre. Being frank, this is my worst episode, as well it should be. I was audibly recovering from a cold and had no idea what I was doing. And let me tell you, learning how to get consistently good audio is not an easy task. Given those circumstances, the end result is pretty good, but still very flawed. I could obviously do it better now, but the important thing was to actually get something made in the first place. Quality be damned. It's one of those things you simply have to accept if you want to get somewhere with an activity, especially one as multi-dimensional as this. Fail fast and you learn a lot in a short span of time. Which leads me to the Sands of Time. With it being my best video yet, one might underestimate what a nightmare production this was. I still catch myself thinking about it and being relieved it's done. We're talking a relatively dense game firing on all cylinders, demanding I make a video close to twice the length of the first one that addresses everything in a presentable manner. There were recording errors, encoding errors, rendering errors, camera cut errors, and desync errors. Not to mention that I had to memorize most of my footage to know what to pull from where and internalize the basic principles of animation to make sure scenes were cut at satisfying points. So yeah, the final file needing to be rendered 3 extra times shouldn't come as a surprise. What was a surprise on the creative front is how incredibly lucky I got a couple of times. Unless you record a game multiple times, the footage you have is the footage you have. There might just be a single moment mirroring a talking point, which can be too short or abruptly cut, leading to extra work. Other times, you receive a blessing from the editing gods and things line up perfectly on accident, like this part with the rewind. The challenge lies in parsing the environment, picking the right move, and then using it with the correct timing if applicable. This sometimes happens under timed duress to make sure you have mastered your entire moveset. And if you haven't, the Dagger of Time is all too happy to undo your mistake should you have sand to spare. Or the end of this musical track matching the recoil of the sword animation. Since I managed without it, we can say that it isn't vital, but it sure is convenient since it can instantly kill half of the game's roster for free without giving them a chance to retaliate. It's a magical experience whenever you are deep in the editing mire, and I jump on the opportunity every time. If you have keen senses and rewatch my videos a few times, you might notice whenever I bumble into an amazing cut. I wouldn't call myself a great video editor, but I know quality cuts when I see them. There's also the elephant in the room, so let's talk spoilers for both the game and the video for a sec. You can skip past the spoiler talk with this timestamp, otherwise, spoilers begin now. With the big moment in the game being a gigantic time rewind, I knew I had to implement it into my script once I realized how closely the cutscenes overlap. I don't know if anyone else has done this before, and I doubt I will ever feel this inspired again, but I am so happy I got this in here. I even went so far as to record over myself mid-sentence just to really sell the emergence of a new timeline. It might drag down the pacing a bit, but I think it makes the video memorable, and I know it tricked a couple of people, which warms the cockles of my heart. The next video was more by the numbers, but I still think I made something unique. Inspired by the Castlevania marathon I undertook last year, this episode represented a much different challenge. It's an NES game with next to no plot and a very limited scope, so you can beat it in less time than my video takes to watch. Despite my undying hatred for voiceover recording, it ended up like that because I had the idea of leaning on the mechanics and the vibe to extract meaning out of the experience since the story just isn't there. Hopefully I'm a trailblazer on that front for Castlevania, but I don't know when I'll deploy that particular trick again, no matter how much I like the end result. Speaking of tricks, did you notice this kick-ass transition I created on accident? Or how I cleanly spliced together these two clips? The score swap makes it obvious, but your eyes are drawn to the action, so it works out. I suppose the most fun accident was the jumping here aligning with the music. A lot of this is a result of the game's difficulty and short runtime, making it hard to get good footage and not repeat it, which I try to avoid. For example, when I talk up the axe, I hurriedly cut away before getting mulched by a leftover scythe so as to not make it look bad. Retro titles are an interesting challenge for a multitude of reasons, and I'll be back to cover more of them at some point, but they don't compare to the behemoth that came next. Oh boy, Army of Two. So funny story, I randomly got this in a combo deal together with Heavenly Sword and Force Unleashed, and just convinced myself that a blind let's play of a PS3 bro shooter would make for good videos. I was right, but little did I know that I set myself up for a goddamn endurance round in the consequent hour-long episode. This damn thing took me like 5 entire days to edit, and it wasn't even the technical side this time, as my PS3 setup simply deigned to function. The game just demanded all this time to critique it properly. And so I did. Not wanting to misrepresent the game by being a lazy hack, I analyzed this concrete wall brick by brick and came out the other side stronger for it. The story may be a failure, but there are some good gameplay ideas here, so look forward to me mirroring the snide comparison to Resident Evil 5's story being better by pointing out how much worse the partner AI is compared to Army of Two. Being the world's foremost expert on it now, I would be remiss not to mention how amazing the melee attacks are in Army of Two. I feel like ragdolls are too medicated these days and that you could bump your game up a few points by just going wild with it. I know I sure did, which is why there is this incredible melee montage in the episode that goes on for far too long. But when you manage to accidentally sync assault rifle fire to the music this well, can you blame me? I still find myself rewatching this whole bit since it's so fun, and it does serve a point actually. That being that you lose yourself in the fun for so long that the death at the end rips you out of the reverie and clearly communicates how much failure sucks in Army of Two. After that episode, I knew we all needed some color, which brings me to my latest production. The Flame and the Flood was intended as a simple and relaxing thing to do after chugging gravel for so long, but it turned into a busy summer, so I stalled on it longer than intended. I think my biggest challenge here was sifting through hours of footage derived from the randomized gameplay. I had my timestamped Let's Play to lean on, but even then there's a lot of dead air spent in crafting menus, making it hard to find good footage in the pile. Further complicating things is the damn lighting, as I want my videos to be epilepsy safe. Since you spend so much of the game in rain, some of my once in a playthrough footage had lightning in it, which I then had to manually dim. The end result is fully presentable, but I am no less annoyed. I also think my heart wasn't in this one, which might come across in the episode. All the videos up to now have been part of my practice phase, where the games don't matter as much as the experience I gained making videos about them. But while making this newest video, the things I learned didn't feel as explosively dense as before, which made it feel a bit boring at times. Game's fine and I do like it, but it's neither mechanically nor narratively deep, so I don't think I do a great job presenting the more esoteric aspects of it. Hopefully you'll disagree with me and say that the episode is still good, but I know that I don't want to make another one like it right now at the very least. And that brings us to what comes next. I've been postponing covering the games I truly adore for fear that my analysis and production skills won't be up to snuff. I'm mostly past that now, so I'm gonna open the floodgates a little bit and set my focus on games I have at least a little bit more affinity for. As for what those games are, they are too numerous to list, but you can be damn sure they will be platformers, RPGs, horror games, action games, immersive sims, and everything in between. My love of video games is huge and vast. I just need to get some more fundamental titles out of the way before I am truly free to pick whatever path through gaming history that I want. I don't know how long this next phase of the channel will be, but when I return with another update like this, I will have enough videos under my belt to at least begin discussing my core conceit of connecting the pieces of gaming history. I will use the game time graph as a way to illustrate these connections once they've been made and how they relate to the bazillion playlists you can find on the channel at the moment. If this sounds confusing, I am open to taking questions and comments to try and explain myself better next time. Maybe we can make that a semi-regular thing? I'd say you have at least 6 months of normal videos to go before I find the need for another update, so consider that a deadline for writing queries down below. Let us explore all of video games together. I'm Carrick52 and I am this project.